What is up, fight fans? So this was actually an incredibly good interview. This was done by Behind the Gloves. They had Todd Grisham kind of in the hot seat, and he gave up some information. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it. This is Edward, and you're watching Boxing Fanatico. All right, first I have to preface this with one clear understanding, one very clear, very notable understanding that you must take what Todd Grisham says with a grain of salt, but not just because he might not know the specifics of what's going on, but also because if something isn't officially announced, things can happen behind the scenes that can push some type of project or a video or anything a little bit further down the line, or change things in the interest of removing some information. You never know what could happen when something isn't officially announced or officially released. So always keep that in mind. But with that being said as well, there are some juicy information that we got from this interview from Behind the Gloves, and I'll go ahead and link it down below, but I'll talk about the highlights of Esports Boxing Club. So basically this interview was done by the YouTube channel Behind the Gloves with Todd Grisham, and you know a lot of interviews have been done with Todd Grisham. They talk about his background, how he started, very interesting how he got into boxing, so definitely recommend to watch that part. Todd has talked about this before in other interviews, but he always gives like added information in different interviews. He's very self-aware, cognitive of the fact that he's answered this question before, and I think he always tries to give something for everyone when they go into these interviews. But they get into the ESBC portion, and kudos to my man's. You could cut the tension with a knife almost in terms of how much he was pushing up against Todd Grisham politely to answer these questions. At one point he was just naming names and telling Todd to say if they're been signed or if they're almost being signed or what have you, and at one point you could tell that Todd wanted it to end, because Todd ended up saying something to the effect of, well, there's been over hundreds of thousands of fighters in the history of the sport, so people will say, hey, what about Aaron Pryor, or what about this and that, and it's impossible to get every single person, but we're definitely going to try our best, but you can go all day long. But the interviewer didn't stop asking him questions. He was like, okay, cool, that's a good point, but I got a few more here that I could ask you. And then even at one point, he said, hey, listen, I only really deal with the North America and Mexico, so not too much with the English fighters. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, this person fought in America, so it was like the guy kind of was cornering Todd Grisham and didn't really let him out of the corner, which actually ended up being good for us because it gave us a lot of insight. And these are the insights that we can take out of this video. For one, as the title indicates, Todd Grisham talked about the gameplay trailer. He didn't know what to call it, but I'm very sure that he's talking about the control scheme trailer that we have been waiting for. Now, from what he said that in July next month, early next month, we should be seeing the gameplay trailer. And the gameplay trailer is going to be a 10 to 15 minute trailer, which, please, thank you. Those are the type of trailers that they do where it's just like full breakdown analysis type stuff. And I would love to see a full breakdown trailer like the last one we had, where they were talking about the 36 directional punching system and all of that stuff. I definitely want to see that in this new trailer. So 10 to 15 minutes is such a good chunk of time for a control scheme trailer. Probably the most requested and the most anticipated trailer that they've ever taunted or like hyped us up about. This is my most anticipated trailer, and I think it's a lot of other people's as well, because gameplay is really the creme de la creme. That's what we care about the most. But he also said that there's going to be another fighter announcement show because they've grabbed up a bunch of fighters. Now we're going to see what the butterfly effect or the ripple effect would be from grabbing up someone like Canelo Alvarez. When you grab Canelo, that thing launches you into the stratosphere in terms of people who you can grab. And he went into asking him, what about this guy? What about that guy? First person he threw out there, literally to throw the fastball, the hard ball at him right away, was Floyd Mayweather. And Todd Grisham said, hey, Floyd Mayweather's a guy that's really hard to get. You got to talk to this guy, to talk to that guy, to get to him. But then Todd released a little bit of information. He said, well, let me let you know, Floyd is very aware of this game and he is interested. If Esports Boxing Club grabs up a name like Floyd Mayweather, who has not been in a boxing game since Fight Night Round 2, I don't know how many years ago, if they can grab this man and implement this brand new graphic system, brand new animation system, footwork with punch sets and movement sets and defense sets, wow, we would probably get the best representation of Mayweather that we could possibly have. In Fight Night Champion, he would have just probably been a reskin of someone else. He would have just been another guy with the Philly shell, where it's not really a Philly shell, it's just blocking. It's not being used to counter. While in this game, it's the Philly shell with the physics system and all of that. You can probably use it specifically to counter. We definitely need to see more, but it looks like they're going in that route where there's dynamic variations to the defense. So this will be absolutely fantastic to have Mayweather in the game and to know that he's aware of the game. And not only is he aware of the game, he's also interested in the game. That's huge. He also asked about Deontay Wilder. Everybody he said was like right on the money. He also asked about Deontay Wilder. He said, and Todd said that at first Deontay was not interested, but now he seems to be very interested. So it probably meant once they grabbed up Canelo, it's a wrap. This is the butterfly effect of grabbing Canelo. And then he also said Tyson Fury. And this was one of the most telling things ever. When he said Tyson Fury, Todd was very forthcoming with the fact that Tyson Fury is very well aware of the game and he wants in. He wants to be in this. He's incredibly interested in this entire project, and we would love to be able to get him. That means a lot. Is there not a tie-in to the UFC because they appeared in the UFC game? Does this also open up Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua appeared in the UFC game? And it's not the same thing, guys, because the discrepancy was made. The split was made when he mentioned Conor McGregor. When the interviewer said Conor McGregor, Todd was like, listen, he's under a UFC contract. We can't mess with that. And unfortunately, we can't get nobody from the UFC, from an active live UFC contract. But when he said Tyson Fury, he was like, oh, yeah, we would love to get him. Tyson Fury is well aware of this game, and he's really looking into this game. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. That to me tells me that there's some type of contract there that probably wasn't as exclusive as we may have thought. And at the end of the day, we might end up with an Anthony Joshua and a Tyson Fury in Esports Boxing Club. And that will be amazing. Maybe EA didn't think anybody would try to grab them up because they were just cocky enough to think nobody's going to really make a boxing game. So they didn't think too hard into trying to make a super exclusive contract. It was probably a very loose contract, very lucrative and loose, just to give them the comfort of being in the game and not having to worry about anything. They were like, listen, we got you. It won't be exclusive. It'll just be for this one game. We're good. And it ain't like nobody's making a boxing game. Little did they know Esports Boxing Club's about to kill it. So that's amazing. To hear him say that means that they are aware of what roadblocks are there, yet he still thinks that they can grab Tyson Fury up. And I'm super excited about that. So I have the whole interview down on the link below, so you can go ahead and click it and watch it for yourself. But what did you guys think about all of that information? 10 to 15 minute gameplay trailer, another fighter announcement show coming out in July soon. So I'm guessing that the update, they will skip over this update for June and do a gameplay trailer for the control scheme in July. But I'm hoping at least if they skip over, they don't just say, hey, coming soon, and they give us a time frame, a date in the first week of July or something, so that we know when the gameplay trailer is coming out. And it will be amazing, guys. Absolutely amazing if they finally did the thing that I keep asking them to do, and it is to not let us know and surprise us at the end of the video with the early access release date. That will blow everybody's mind. I mean, you could start the video by saying, hey, stay to the end because we got a surprise for you. If they do that, and everybody's in anticipation, now the hype is super high. They're seeing everything. All of our senses are just on overload. We're super ecstatic. We're super happy. And then it's about to end. And then they say one more thing. Boom! There's the early access release date. That would be amazing. And I know that a lot of people are like, "Leo, but they're grabbing people up. They're grabbing people up." Yes, they're grabbing people up. But remember, early access will not have all the fighters. So they don't have to have all the fighters. So far, from the last interview that they did, the last time they said that they were going to have 30 fighters. Now it's being rumored to be 100, but we don't know. There's no validity to that. So it could be 30, it could be 40. It doesn't matter. Early access doesn't have to have all the fighters. Early access doesn't have to have Canelo. It doesn't have to have anybody. It just has to have 30 fighters, 40 fighters, and we know how the game works, and it's being developed during that time process. So there's certain things that they must have, though, guys. A lot of people are like, release it now. Who cares? It doesn't make sense. Well, if they don't have the referee implemented yet, that's something that they want to have before they give it to you early access. If they don't have the clinch system fully implemented yet, that's something that they want to have before they give you early access. So I think the core gameplay mechanics do have to be there. Don't just give me a game where I can't punch with my right hand and only my left hand and be like, it doesn't matter. It's not finished. I want to play. What's the big deal? No. Make sure that the core mechanics are there and then give it to us, and then little things you can start updating and fixing and doing things down the line. Anyways, that is it, guys. Link will be down in the description for the full interview. Awesome interview. You can cut the tension with a knife. My man's cornered Todd Grisham, but Todd is such a good sport. Love the guy. And I'll see you guys in the next one when they release the June update, of course. This is Edward, and I'm out.